Hey guys, this is Kenuda here, just putting out another vlog. I wanted to tell you guys a little bit more about myself. As I said in my first vlog, I really want you guys to know a lot about me and to understand where I'm coming from with like why I'm doing YouTube, why I'm doing a gaming channel, and why I care. I mean, I said in my first YouTube in my first vlog that I really care about people, and I want this YouTube channel to be all about entertaining people and changing the world through laughter, changing the world through comedy, and just making people's lives that little bit better. Because there is a lot of pain out in the world. There is. I mean, it's undeniable that it is there. Um, probably probably what would help the most is well let me start with something very simple. Who my idols are in life. I only have two idols, and I used to only have one for the longest time, and then I was inspired by Markiplier, and he became one of my idols in the last couple of years. But for the longest time, my idol was Red Skelton. For those of you that do not know who Red Skelton was, he was a man in, oh god, for the longest running time, like fucking forever. Um, he was on radio during the golden age of radio. He had TV series in black and white, color. He did a couple movies here and there, and he was named America's the Clown Prince of America. But what struck me about this man was not his comedy, though he was incredibly funny. I die laughing watching him every time, and I absolutely love watching everything he does because he is so funny. But it was how humble he was. That is always what struck me. He was never, ever arrogant. He took his job seriously in that he was an incredibly funny guy, and all he wanted was to make people laugh. That was it. He even came out one episode, and I'm going to try and remember the lines as best as I can. I'm going to try and remember them word for word. He came out and he said to the audience that he had been asked by people why he says "May God bless," because at the end of every episode he said "May God bless," and he said, "Well, I don't say God bless you because that feels like I am demanding that God bless you, and that is not my place. It is, I ask may God bless you because that is, he is." Okay, and now I'm going really far out of the out of what he said, but he was asked why he said "May God bless" rather than "God bless you," and his response was that he felt it was that if he said "God bless you," it was him demanding of God that God must bless you, and he never felt that he as a human was big enough to demand of God, and it was a very humble attitude. And I believe it was the same episode. He also further said, it might have been a different episode, but he went on to say that, and here's where I'm going to try and remember word for word what he said. If I have done something tonight, if you are in pain at any point, if you are suffering at any point in your life, and something that I have said or done has brought a smile to your face or a chuckle to your heart, then my purpose as your clown has been fulfilled. And that line struck me, even as a kid, not fully, not quite fully understanding the reasoning behind it, it struck me so deep. And I have never forgotten that to this day. The man was amazing. He felt that his entire purpose in life was to make us laugh. And by God, he was going to do the best job that he could at that. And he did. The man did comedy for so long, and people responded to that so much. He had so many characters he played. Oh my God, it's hard to know. I mean, there were Clem Cadiddlehopper, Freddie the Freeloader, George Appleby. The list just goes on of all the characters that he played, and all of them made people laugh so much because he had that attitude about him that I am not here to be famous, I am not here to be rich, I am here to make you laugh. And people responded to that deep down, I think. And it struck me. This was a man who bad things happened to him in life. He lost his son very early on, and it devastated him. Like, I think his son was maybe 10 years old when his son died, and it devastated him. And I mean, his producers did everything in their power to try and cheer this man up, because it was like, I think it was Norman Rockwell, one of his paintings, the saddest thing to see is a clown cry. And that was Red Skelton at that time. But he came back and he did the show, and it revitalized him in a way, because he got to do the show with one of his idols, Ed Sullivan. But people could just tell that Red Skelton was genuine. He wasn't there to get rich. He wasn't there to get famous. He was there to make them laugh. And he was going to do everything in his power to make them laugh. And he did. I mean, as I said, he took his job seriously, but not in that we gotta take this super, super serious. No, he could always make fun of himself. He could always take a joke. And he would just die laughing on stage of his own jokes. And like, there were sometimes he would come on and he hadn't thought up the jokes, and he was just like reading them on the cards, and he would just suddenly die laughing on stage because he was in the middle of reading the joke, like reading ahead. And he'd just sit there and be like, and he would just say out loud, I didn't read these before I came in. And so he's like just hearing it for the first time. And I'm getting way off track. But the guy was he was so humble and so kind and so funny because of that. It people felt it. People understood. And they responded to that. They responded to that feeling of, I just want to make you laugh. And I feel that that is my purpose in life, is to make you laugh, and to make your life that little bit better through laughter. And that's what I hope that you will see from me, is I just want to make life a little bit better, because I recognize that there are horrible things, and I have been through some very horrible times in my life, and the times I have been through cannot compare to some of the suffering that is out there. And I just recognize, like, I am a person that lives with a lot of fear. I really do. I fear people. I fear the outside world. I fear I fear large groups. I fear so much. I fear travel, and I just can't bring myself to go out and do a more act and be have a more active part out in the world. So this is what I do to help the world. This comedy. And that all comes from Red Skelton and Markiplier, from their humble attitudes. I want to be much like them. I feel that my purpose is to make people laugh, and I'm good at that. I mean, every time I'm around people, I have them in stitches. Every time. I have them laughing so hard. And that is my purpose. To make people laugh, to give them smiles, to make their lives that little bit better through that laughter. And I don't have a problem with that. I love that. Like, I'm a person that absolutely cannot stand the idea of fate or of destiny or of having your purpose chosen for you. And I don't mind this. I don't think that it was something I was born with. I think it was something that I discovered later on. And it just grew as I grew. And I mean, you can tell the effect that I have on people. I was at a work training center just recently, and I left it a month or two ago, and I hear back from some of the people that I worked with, and they're just like, Jason, you have no idea of the effect that you had on us. And they're just like, Miyoko, you have no idea of the effect you have on us. Without you here, it is quiet. And it is so difficult to not focus on the things that frustrate us. Because you would always come around to everyone, and you would make them laugh and help them forget some of their problems. And now that you're gone, we don't have that. And we can tell. We can tell that. And I was astounded to hear that, because I didn't think I had that effect on people. And as I said, I think that I owe it all to having the idols of Red Skelton and Markiplier. To have such humble people as my idols. Because I'm not trying to do it for popularity, I'm not trying to do it for fame, I'm trying to do it because I want you to laugh. I want you to be happy. I also had said in my first vlog that while I do want people to be happy, I do think there is a necessary amount of pain for people to feel. And I'd like to explain that, because that's very easy to take out of context. People need pain to understand each other. When we're happy, we don't get each other. We just don't. I mean, there are people who I liked in 2013, in December of 2013, I had an emotional breakdown. Things were so stressful and so horrible, absolutely horrible, that I just couldn't take it anymore. I got into this horrible car wreck. I was going to a program called Glen Forest, Grow at Glen Forest, that was to help teach people with learning disabilities how to work through those. And things were just so horrible there. I cannot begin to tell you how bad it was, and I may in another vlog. But things were so bad there every day was just exhausting. I would I would have I guess part of it was I just was not ready for what they were demanding, which is a lot of what any normal job demands. They demanded I be up at 6 a.m., getting ready to go to classes at 8 o'clock, that I be there on the dime, dressed perfectly, all that stuff. And then I would put in 8 hours, because it was like from 8 to 3 o'clock. Not 8 hours, but about 7 hours. But we wouldn't just be learning, we'd also be dealing with all of the other kids in the school as well. We volunteered to take care of the library, which took out so much time and attention from our own lessons, and made it so difficult and so frustrating because we had to deal with a lot of kids who, frankly, some of them were humongous brats. I don't like to talk bad about people, but they were some horrifying brats. And like it was just constant, not insults or beratement from them, but a lot of just absolute denial to work with us so that we could get back to our classes and get back to what we were trying to do. And then after all of that, and that would be several hours that we would be handling that. And then we'd have all the requirements of our own class have to be absolutely perfect, and have to deal with a teacher who apparently did not understand that teaching was not a do as I say, don't do as I do role. That it was that as a teacher you are a role model, and what you do people look up to. And I would catch her doing things that she would try and teach us not to do, and I'd try and remind her, and I just get told over and over that she's the teacher, don't talk to her like that. And I wasn't being rude, I was just pointing out that this isn't cool, this isn't right, this isn't fair. And I know, sort of, as I say this, I know that it sounds kind of petty and it sounds really stupid, and it's just like, well, yeah, Miyako, I mean, come on, that's just how people are. No, that's not. It doesn't just work that way. I was dealing with another student who had major trust issues and thought that we were all out to get her and out to hurt her, and it was half the time it was smiles from her, and the other half of the time it was constantly being called a traitor and constantly being treated as though I was a horrible person and I was out to hurt her. And guys, for me, trust is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing in my life. If I don't trust you, you are not a friend. It doesn't matter whether I like you or not. If I can trust you, then you're a friend. If I can't trust you, you're not a friend. And that's the long and short of it. So to hear from this girl that I was a traitor, that I was trying to hurt her, that she couldn't trust me when I had done nothing to this girl, it hit me. It hit me so hard, and it hit me so deep. And every day, I would just be coming back from that absolutely exhausted. Mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted. I would go to sleep, just fall straight to sleep, and never feel rested, because I was just so fucking exhausted. And it got to the point where I was going into work, or going into classes, dead tired, like passing out at the wheel, tired. And I'm not even joking there. I was passing out at the wheel. I would catch myself nodding off and just be like, oh god, okay, can't do anything more. Oh, I can't, no, can't do this. Like, absolutely terrified coming to the classes because I was falling asleep on the road, on busy roads, in mornings, during school rush hour traffic in the mornings. Like, you can imagine how terrified I was. And I didn't have short drives. I had like 45-minute to hour-long drives that I was passing out in. And I would tell the teachers this. I told the director of the program, the teacher, the headmaster of the school about this. And every single one of them, their response was, well, you just need to get used to the program, to the demands of the program. This went on for 6 fucking months. Apparently for 6 months, I just had to get used to it and toughen up. And I'm sorry, but I am passing out at the goddamn wheel. There's no just toughen up. There's no just get used to it. There is, okay, let's see what we can do to work through this. I mean, I was not asking for much. I was asking to come in an hour later and maybe go home an hour later. And I knew that this was viable because the director would be there for several hours after I was gone, normally. So it was not like I was asking something absolutely horrible. He was already doing that. And they just would not work with me on that. They would not. And finally it all came to a head when I crashed into the back of a truck going to class because I had passed out at the wheel. I had fallen asleep at the wheel. The thing I was terrified of doing came to pass. And I call up my mom, who I'm currently staying with my parents, and I was living with her. Obviously I was living with her at the time. I call her up and I go, Mom, I just got into a wreck. And I had already had several wrecks. Before then I had totaled 2 cars. And just the anger in her voice was so clear and present. And I hung up and just began to cry. Like, I told her where I was and just immediately started crying and almost saying out loud to myself, I can't take this anymore. I can't do this. I just want to go home. And like an officer arrived on the scene, and apparently like he saw me just crying my eyes out in this car and was just like, okay, I'm gonna leave him alone for a little bit. And I see Mom pull up, and I sort of stop myself, and she's just pissed off. And she gets up to the car and opens the door. Thankfully didn't like yank it open or anything. She came up and she opened the car door. Thankfully she didn't like yank the door open or anything. She was actually pretty calm about that. But I just took one look at her and immediately started crying again. And she saw that and just like stopped. And it's almost funny thinking about it now, but she just like stopped right there and just did not know how to act. So she just sat down next to me, like scooted me over a little bit in the driver's seat, sat down and just hugged me. Just hugged me to her. And I just sat there and I cried and cried and cried for a good, I don't even know how long we were there. I want to say it was a good like 10 minutes that I just sat there and cried. And the entire time I'm just telling her, Mom, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. I am so tired of everything. I am tired. I am exhausted. And the entire time she's just sitting there going, I know, I know. And I came out of the car a few minutes later and actually looked at the damage. Apparently the truck in front of me had no damage. Like, there wasn't even a dent in the bumper. There wasn't a scratch in their bumper. But I had slid under, like the front of my car had slid under the truck, and the hood was just gone. Uh, and the engine had been pushed all the way back. And it hit me at that exact moment, like, as everything is being explained to me, it hit me, oh my god, I could have just lost my goddamn legs. I could have had the engine flattened the pipes behind it, flattened them like pancakes. Like, I actually saw them. They were flat pieces of metal. Totally flat. I cannot stress that enough. Totally flat. And it just hit me like, oh my god, I could have lost my legs. Had anything else changed in that moment, had that engine not flattened the pipes, had they instead broken through the back, because had that engine been pushed any further, it would have actually pushed backwards against the dash, against the wheel, and crushed my legs. Had it not flattened the pipes, they would have broken through and pierced my legs. And I could have lost everything. I could have lost my legs, never been able to walk again, never been able to do anything, because I passed out at the wheel because I was so goddamn tired every day. Every day that I just almost passed out at the wheel, and one day I just did. I just did. And it all hit me. And I was just like, Mom, I've got to get out. I've got to get out. This is not right. I mean, it's not even sure that I would have lived through that crash had anything else changed. Anything at all. And I was just like, Mom, this is not right. I've got to get out of this. And she was just like, I agree. Unfortunately, like, a couple days later, I went back to the program stupidly because my parents were paying $24,000 for this program, and I had like a month left, and we just wanted to be like, okay, let's just get this done. Let's just get this done. You can have this. Businesses will accept this as experience, as education. We need this. I was like, okay, I will deal with it for one more month. I can do this. And I could not. I took a month off. Thankfully, this was like one thing that I haven't said is during when I was crying in the car, I was actually considering throwing myself out into traffic. That is how despondent I was at all of this. I was just like, I want it all to end, and I was ready to throw myself into traffic to just have it all end. And thankfully, this was like the one time the director recognized that something was wrong, because I went back to the program, and like 3 days later, I told him about it, and he was just like, Jason, you've got a number to call, and you need to call and get help. You need to do it. Take time off. However much time you need, take it off. And that was like the one time that they did anything right. That he ever handled a situation properly. And I am thankful for that, because that got me into a group therapy for outpatient treatment for a month. And for a month, I got better. I met people who had gone through horrible points in their lives, who had reached a point in their lives that they just could not take anymore and were almost ready to give up. And during that time, I helped them out as well. And that was a part of my therapy, was I made them laugh. I gave them ideas. I made them laugh. And I mean, it tells me a lot. It does. But yeah, I when I was in this group therapy program, I recognized that I was making these people laugh, and they were responding and helping out. And I tried to do that with as many people as I could there, to help them out by making them laugh. I even suggested a couple of things for, like, in the group therapy program that maybe we could do to help make people smile. And the counselors were very receptive to it. They were actually somewhat excited with the ideas. Unfortunately, I never properly planned out any of them, so I never really got to do any of the ideas. But but I was in there for a month, and I came back and I went back to the program once again because I was like, God damn it, I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna get through it. I know I never did. Um, and like the first time the director saw me again, he was just like, I can see a change. You are visibly happier and more comfortable with yourself than I have ever seen you. And I was just like, cool, maybe I can do this. I got back in and nothing improved. And I steadily got worse again. I got I started looking for work, and the moment I got a job offer, I took it and absolutely refused to go back to that class ever again. Like, I flat out refused to go back. I made up as many excuses as I could to never go back because nothing fucking changed. It never got better. And I still don't have that certificate, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm just like, that was fucking horrible, and so much was handled so stupidly and so wrongly. I cannot express to you how bad my time was. Just how everything made me feel. And all of that is to tell you, before that point, I thought I understood. Before that point, I thought I knew what pain was, and I thought I knew how everything happened, and all of this bullshit. And I didn't. I didn't fucking understand. I didn't understand until I had that breakdown and met those people, just how bad it got for people. Like, what I went through was nothing compared to some of the people in that program, and I'm not going to share their stories because it's not my place to share those stories. Those are extremely private stories, and it's not my place to share them. I have no contact with those people anymore. Like, we were not allowed to contact each other in the group therapy program because of several incidents that had happened in the past. But I wish I was in contact with some of them to see like how they're doing, and to see if everything's okay with them. But as I said, it's not my place to share those stories. But rest assured, they were much, much worse than anything that happened to me. Like, what happened to me with that program was child stuff, was high school drama compared to what they were going through. And I like to think that I helped them out. I like to think that I did. And I hope I did. If any of you recognize this voice as you're watching this video, and you were in that program in December of 2013 in Columbia, South Carolina, I hope I helped you guys. I hope I did. And what you guys were going through was so much worse than anything that happened to me. And it is because of that program that I now do understand. I apologize, but Goddess is still reacting poorly, but we will just continue on like this because I'm just trying to get through this story at this point. As I said, I thought that I understood. And I had the same attitude that a lot of people do, that people are just whiny and needy and are just looking for attention. No. Well, yes and no. They are not just trying to get attention because they're attention whores. They're trying to get attention because shit's bad and they need help. And they recognize that, but they don't know how to out and out say that. And that is why I want this channel, because there's so much pain and suffering out there. People have no idea. And it is because we don't feel that pain ourselves that we don't understand. And that's why there is a necessary amount of pain and sadness to go through so that we do understand. Without it, we have no idea what each other are going through. We have no idea what's happening out in the world. We're not motivated to learn anything about each other without that pain. But a lot of the pain in the world is unnecessary. Totally and absolutely unnecessary in the extreme. There is no point to it. It is suffering because of greed and stupidity and short-sightedness and a whole host of other reasons that are just stupid and are short-sighted. And I want to try and ease some of that. There's a lot more to learn about me, but this is like the largest thing for me is just trying to help and trying to get this YouTube channel up so that I can help, so that I can bring you guys laughs, so that you can see, so that when you're watching me and my friends just fucking around in a game or when I'm doing a Let's Play, that, as Red Skeleton said, if you are in pain and you are suffering right now, and something that I've said, some little joke, has brought a smile to your face or a chuckle to your heart, then my purpose as your clown has been fulfilled. And that is what I want. That is all I want. I hope you guys have learned a bit about me. I hope that I have been able to tell my stories well and maybe show you guys something. Maybe about me, maybe about the world in general. I don't know. But I will see you guys in the next video. I hope that you are all having a good day, and I mean that. I hope you are having a good day, and if you are not, then I hope that you will remember one thing. If you can't think of anything else, I hope that you remember this. You don't know me, and I don't know you. But whoever you are, I love you. I love you for who you are. I love you no matter what you've done. I love you. And I mean that. I'm not just saying that. I love you. I hope you guys have a good night. Bye-bye.